Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel, and for the second week in a row, we've got a game involving this Barbarian side. They are this time taking on the Welsh at Twickenham Stadium. They did take on South Africa last week, and there have been a few changes compared to the side that we did see take part in that South African match, but they have got some real reinforcements that they've added into their mix, including their new captain, Faf de Klerk. He has replaced TJ Perenara in terms of that starting lineup. A couple other Welshmen off the bench too, including George North. Be interesting to see how he goes and at this contest as well. But anyone who is new to the channel, of course, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We are going to be covering a majority of the July internationals. Wales have their first match in July coming up just around the corner. That'll be up against the Fijians. That is always a very entertaining game. If the World Cup in 2023 was anything to go by, we've also seen a few close games throughout those two, or throughout the most recent history for those two sides. But we will look through at the starting lineup, starting with the Barbarians. They have got a change in the front row. Karashvili goes into the starting number 1 jersey. Elliot D keeps his spot at 2, but Vincent Koch comes in as the 3. He's a man who ended up missing out on the Springbok squad. Now gets that big opportunity here. For the Barbars, Isaac Rodder in the starting lineup alongside Romain Telfafenua, another man who was not in the French international team. Lukan Salakaia-Lotto, he's a man who should have been in the Wallabies. I couldn't believe that man's name was not on paper. He has been relentless throughout the last 24 months or so in terms of his physicality and what he can bring to a fullback. Obviously doesn't match what Joe Schmidt's looking for this Wallaby side and Les Kiss moving forward, but I would certainly be having him in that international kit very soon. Lachlan Boshier keeps his spot as the number 7, and Nathan Hughes comes in at 8 rather than Miracle Faialangi, who is no longer in the Barbarians picture. Faf de Klerk and Harry Plummer as that 9 and 10 combination. Last week we did see TJ Perenara and Thomas Albanoz, so big changes here for the Barbarians in that department. Virimi Fakatawa, he moves out to the right wing. Him and Alex Nankervis were brilliant in the game up against South Africa, at least for that first half. Jeremy Ward comes in as that number 13. Nankervis keeps his spot as the 12. Andrew Callaway out on the right, and Tom Spring as the number 15. So overall for the Barbarians, some changes that I think are stronger than what we saw last week. Also a couple interesting switches along the way too. And I'm thoroughly excited to see how they end up going. We to the Wales game today. That was a bit of a thrilling one, right down to the wire. Relaxing Kiwi in that contest. We have got hello Hamish, says Kevin, welcome in. Hope you are doing extremely well. And also, while that's Faf, it is indeed. So they got Faf and Vincent Koch in the starting lineup for the Barbarians. They did have Wadakalant in the number 15 jersey just last week. Where's this game being played? It is actually being played on neutral territory, being played at Twickenham Stadium in England, or Allianz Stadium as you're supposed to call it, but we still call it Twickenham. But yeah, looking through at this Welsh side, it is pretty much, with the exception of a few player names out there, it's pretty much what we're going to see for the Welsh, I would think, throughout the July internationals. In the front row, Gareth Thomas, Dewey Lake, and Dylan Lewis as that number 3. Ben Carter and Teddy Williams in the locking duo with Tane Plumtree at 6. Jack Morgan as the 7, and Aaron Wainwright slotting in as their number 8. I have to say, Jack Morgan, if he can get through this whole year of international rugby without any sort of injuries, it would be fantastic to see. He has been one of the standouts for the Welsh, even in the times when they have been struggling. Kieran Hardy and Dan Edwards as their 9 and 10 combination. Alice Mee out on the left wing with Joe Hawkins and Eddie James making up the midfield. Tom Rogers out on the right, and Blair Murray as the number 15. We have got there, does anyone have the link to the actual match, says Pam? So there are a few options depending on where you are in the world. If you're in Wales, it's available on S4C. If you're in the UK, it's on BBC iPlayer. There is also the option of, there's the third one as well. I'm actually watching it on a Welsh YouTube channel. I think it's through S4C as well with a VPN. And why is it not on Sky Sport? Just because there's a lack of New Zealand players, and I guess because it's outside of that international window, it's why they haven't secured the rights, which is interesting. I would have thought they'd still get these ones, seeing as Scott Robertson is the coach of this Barbars team, and also there are still quite a few Kiwis featuring in this lineup, Harry Plummer being one. Although I think he's the only, other than Lachlan Boshier, in terms of the starting lineup this week. There is an under-20s game also taking place on Sky currently, on Sky Sport 5. That is between New Zealand and Japan. Quite a close game, pouring down with rain in Georgia currently. New Zealand leading that one 26-21 with around 20 minutes left on the clock. I don't see Wales winning. Let's wait and see. Well, interestingly enough, these two sides are considered pretty much 50-50 in terms of the odds. The Welsh, this will be their first outing as a unit. The Barbarians, that's the same that can be said every single time that the side takes to the field. There are always some interesting moments with the Barbars, whether that's the unpredictability of the way that they want to play or whether that is just in general deciding to go out there and throw caution to the wind. Whose favourites saw it was 50-50 on the TAB, says Kahu. So slight favourites of the Welsh. Only slight. But this is one of those ones that, in a way, you want to see Wales get the victory. Even though the Barbarians, don't get me wrong, it is absolutely awesome watching them in action each and every year. But for Wales' confidence heading into the July internationals, they kind of need this win under their belt. If they aren't able to beat this makeshift team made up of multiple countries' players, they won't feel confident beating teams in July. Their first game next week up against the Fijians, they want to go into it with a win under their belt, knowing that they've got a little bit of something about them this year. The Barbars, of course, wearing that classic black and white. Faf de Klerk was a bit of an omission from Rassi Erasmus's squad, having no Faf de Klerk in the equation. But he's probably going to get a chance at some stage throughout this year. Wales going to start off the international window sour if they lose, says TRJ. And watch the Dragons fire up, says Samuel, and it's weird Faf playing against them last weekend, now playing for them. Yeah, that can happen a little bit. It's a weird world with the Barbarians. You know, you look at guys who, George North, for instance, he's at the moment making his way onto the field for the Barbarians. That man is a Welshman who has had a huge amount of international experience for Wales. He is retired from internationals for the Welsh, but he hasn't retired from the Barbars. You can play a Barbars game till you're like 50 years old. We may even see North get to take a kick late on in this contest. I will mention New Zealand have just scored on the short side as well in their game up against the Japanese to extend their lead a little bit further. And it looks like Caleb Woodley, the man who has been able to score it for anyone following alongside that game, legend of the game, absolutely. And it's going to be great to see him make his way off the bench in this contest as well. Are Scotland favourites next week against the Pumas? Are going to be streaming every international game next week? Not everyone, because there are actually quite a few overlaps. The likes of Japan, their game is going to be overlapping with both New Zealand and Australia's matches, so sadly we won't be able to do that one, but we're going to be doing quite a few of the games along the way. But yeah, sadly, because of the amount of games, and we've also got to remember it's not just the main championship or the main Nations Championship comp, there's also the Challenger comp, so that adds another about 6 games a weekend too, so yeah, hopefully it doesn't overlap too much. But the Welsh National Anthem is just about to be sung at Twickenham Stadium before we get underway for this contest. There is also a Women's Barbarians game up against the Women's Welsh side happening a little bit later on tonight. Did you know Australia's favourites against Ireland next week? Doesn't surprise me. They're at home, and normally that can be a massive advantage, definitely with it being the first match of the international season. OAH, you're like my live rugby alarm, says Juan Pierre Bosch. Yeah, there's always some sort of random hour matchup taking place around the world. And this one, some people may not even know this game was happening. They may have thought that the Barbarians, just like last year, were only playing up against the Box in the June international stage and then from there disappearing. But they've got this game up against the Welshmen at Twickenham Stadium. I just hope it's a good one. A high-scoring game. Maybe not quite as high-scoring as the one that we saw last week. That one went a little bit ridiculous in terms of the amount of points that were scored. How does the Nation Championship finals work? I'm a bit confused. So pretty much it can't be North versus South for the final. But, the 6 sides playing from the North, 6 sides playing from the South, kind of. Although the regions, Japan are counted as the South, even though they're up North. And then from there, you got the whole quarterfinals, semi-finals, final situation. But yeah, the way that it's worked out is that you can't have it be North versus South in the final. It has to be North versus South. You can't have 2 sides from the South or 2 sides from the North. I think that's just to try and stop it from being one-sided. It's so true. I forgot about a bunch of games opening YouTube and CNH streaming. Actual live rugby alarm says TRJ. And Barbars versus the Hurricanes. It'd be a cool game. I'd still like to see, I know that they only did it once. It was, we got to see Munster versus the Crusaders. It was winner versus winner. They don't do it very often at all. In fact, they only did it once, and it was during a Six Nations competition, so no one was really available for Munster. And then also the Crusaders had just lost like 15 players to overseas clubs, so they didn't have everyone available. In the end, though, it was the win for Munster. But we're going to get to see a bit more of those type of matches in the Club World Cup in 2028. They're actually playing God Save the King as the Barbarians national anthem. I think that's more so for the crowd rather than for this Barbars team. There's like maybe one Barbarian singing it. Everyone else just standing there awkwardly. Howdy Hamish says the Massa, welcome in. How are you watching this? If you are from New Zealand, it's not on Sky Sport. Jez says MMMJ. So I am watching it on, what's it called? 1 second. It's called S4C Chawarun on YouTube. So pretty much it's the S4C broadcaster. I have set my VPN to the UK. So that is how I'm able to watch it. So yeah, if you got a VPN, set yourself to the UK and you should be able to find it on YouTube if you just type in Barbarians versus Wales. It's available on BBC iPlayer as well. It's on Stan in Australia, Samuel's just said too. But yeah, here in New Zealand, sadly, it's not on Sky Sport, which I think is a little bit weird. What's your prediction for this one, Mr. Kiwi? Also, is there any chance of me being a mod yet, says Tyler? We haven't really reached a stage where the mods haven't been able to cover the chat as of yet. But score prediction-wise, I'm hoping like a 60. No, that's too high. I'm hoping 45-40. That would be a really good game if we get that, although both sides will get their defences crucified. But something around there. Under 100 points, but still closer than 10 points separating the sides is the ideal type of region that we want to be looking at. Where can I see in Italy, I'm not too sure about. It might be on Rugby Pass TV, maybe, but I could be wrong there. I'm not actually too sure of or Premier Sports may also have it. Who do you see winning this one? I'm going to say the Welsh. I'm hoping that they can get the job done purely for their confidence in July. Don't get me wrong, I want to see the Barbarians scoring tries and I want to see them get in a few of them, but I also think for the Welsh, they need this win more than the Barbars. It will be Wales who will be kicking this one off from left to right. We are just about to get underway as New Zealand scores again in the under-20, so they are absolutely flying at the moment. Speaking of flying last week, Virumi Vakatawa, he was a phenomenal option there. And Ellie, Rugby Pass TV not, says the CEO. So the best way to do it, I would say, is to just search into Google or whatever option you use as your browser and just type in Wales versus Barbarians, where to watch in Italy. Because normally they have some sort of availability in terms of a program. Now, currently the ball in hand for Nathan Hughes. Inside of their own 22 here for the Barbarians. Coverage of New Zealand versus Japan just cut out as well, ladies and gents. So I think they're having some tough weather at the moment in Georgia. Faf de Klerk from inside of his 22. And that one's going to be kicked downfield. Nicely taken at the back by Blair Murray. Across there to Dan Edwards. This Welsh team is not a mile away from what we did see throughout the Six Nations, as well as some of the stages of last year. Kieran Hardy moves it away to Aaron Wainwright. He is tackled nicely by Elliot D, one of the few men who actually kept his starting spot in this Barbarians team. The penalty awarded to Wales, that is for a not releasing penalty. Like I said, the Barbarians, they're not going to take too many safe options throughout this 80 minutes, whereas the Barbars, based and founded, aware of their training grounds. So pretty much they don't really have an allocated training ground because it's pretty much a side made up of players from all around the world. A coach gets appointed and then from there you're allowed to pick those guys pretty much who aren't in the international sides. So, you see world-class players in there who either just missed out in the selection department or, maybe played in a competition that meant that they weren't eligible. Play for their international side. Nice short ball from the Welsh here as they move to 15 metres out from the Barbars line. Short ball from Wainwright. Now a bit of pace shown by Dewey Lake. He'll only be 3 metres out from the line. This is a good position at the moment for the Welsh. Moving it away to the left. Now I'm popping it on, but it's going to be dropped there at the back. And the advantage now from Tom Spring of dropping their ball. I suppose it's great honour to get a call up to the Barbarians. Yeah, I think a lot of players, it is one of those ones that they have on their bucket list. You want to play international rugby, represent your country, and everything along those lines. But there's always that little bit of an extra one where you want to say, I've played for the Barbarians, because this is a side that have a rich history in the world of rugby union. Around for an extremely long time. Some classic tries, some classic moments for the Barbarians as well, of course. Currently 69 minutes through that New Zealand-Japan game. There is another game taking place just around the corner. It is Fiji versus France. They're just rattling off under-20s games all throughout today. Currently 2.5 minutes through. Kieran Hardy now putting that ball in. That is an absolutely massive push there from the Barbars pack, but the Welsh still have got themselves the position, sitting about 10 metres out from the try line, moving it across to the left. Delaying the pass there, Hardy for a little bit longer, waiting for Dowie Lake to be in position. They've got about 4 men on this left-hand side here, Wales. If anyone's wondering also why I'm looking down rather than up like I normally would, it's because I've got it on my iPad rather than on the PC, like we would normally be doing. It's just because it's easier to do the VPN through the iPad option. Currently still only 3 metres out from the line and another penalty advantage going against this Barbarian side. Wales not messing around in the early stages of this game when it comes to the possession stat. Aaron Wainwright driven backwards in a big shot. Away to the left-hand side. Rush defence from Tom Spring, pushing him into touch. They'll go back for the penalty again. What game next week are you looking forward to? Looking forward to the box in England, Scotland, Argentina. I'm looking forward to seeing what New Zealand, France has to offer us, as well as, Australia, Ireland, I think could be one of the closer games of the weekend. It's a little bit of an underrated one. In some regard, I found a stream, says Jasmine. There'll be a few illegal ones around, I would think. Although, since you're in Thailand, Jasmine, you'll probably be able to watch. Are you watching on S4C on YouTube? Because that is the option that I've got with the VPN now going away to the right there over the line, Wales. And it will be the first try of their internationals. And it's Kieran Hardy who has managed to score it. It's going to be nicely done. My Kieran Hardy there, just finding that gap next to the breakdown. See it there, just about the 5 metres out. A good initial drop of the head from Tame Plumtree. And then the Barbarians, that is one thing that never quite gels early on, is the defensive structure. Being able to shut down every gap possible does make it very difficult indeed. But this should be a nice, easy kick here for Dan Edwards. He does slot it over. Makes the score now 7-0 to the Welsh. Now, I am going to have to potentially see how long my cable is for my iPad. Is it going to be long enough? It's a 2 metre one. We need to get it just poking into the end. We'll rotate this a little bit. It's going to be a bit tight. There we go. Doesn't look pretty, but that is going to be able to keep the coverage going throughout the 80 minutes just because my iPad is flying down in terms of the percentage. Mate, the score is on the wrong side. It's an online scoreboard, so luckily I can't take the blame for it, but hopefully they update it in the near future. Or else I can tell you right now, I certainly will get the blame for it. We have got there. It's crazy that this game isn't on Sky Sport. If you don't see the point of the Barbarians, well, I just don't see the point of the Barbarians if you can't even watch them on Sky Sport. Well, to be fair, there's a lot of other options for being able to watch this game around the world. Yes, S4C says Jasmine. And can you please fix it? It says 7-0 to the Barbars on your screen. It's an online scoreboard, so hopefully they will fix it soon. And then if they don't, I'll try and get it to go the other way. New Zealand would want to get off to a winning start. Could be France B team, key play club. Yeah, although it's not a weak French side by any means. And, it's always talked about how they don't send the best team over and whatnot, but at the same time, you still have to beat them. The last thing that you want is to end up losing to a French side that gets crucified for not being their strongest option. So, yeah, the Kiwis have to be careful. There we go. I've changed it for now. Hopefully it's going to behave itself. The Barbarians in possession of the ball at the moment with Nathan Hughes. Fuff de Klerk, I should say. Away to Isaac Rodder. He was off the bench last. Well, actually, no. I think he started in the end. He was going to be off the bench. Then a late change for me. Vakatawa has the knock on, but they have got the penalty advantage, the Barbarians. Virimi Vakatawa, he was in the centres last week. Yeah, says Walter. Oh, New Zealand scored again in the under-20s by the looks of it. Well, they've been on a bit of a roll at the moment. In the second half up against Japan. It was actually a very close game at halftime, but now getting a bit more one-sided. We have got in there as well about that French B team. But I think that there will be a lot of experimentation throughout July, not just for France, but for a lot of teams trying to work out what their best plan is moving towards that Rugby World Cup. France have to win against the All Blacks. Their record against the Australians and Australia is bad. If France lose 2 games, I don't think they can win the Nations Championship with 2 losses. But the question is, do they care? Sounds bad, right? But I think that one side that only put World Cups in their category, I think, would be the French. I thought the BBC had the wrong score for a bit. See, Fleshin. Now, they have done all right, although they're about to concede here, Wales. Barbarians, after that line out, they are sitting only about the 5 metres out from the try line here. They're getting very close with Elliot D. Now, trying to find their way over the Barbars. It looks pretty good. And it is down, and it is the try now. Who's it going to be? I want to say it was maybe a Vincent Koch or someone along those lines. Yes, it was. Mr. Incredible himself has managed to score the try for the Barbarians. What's your midweek stream? A possible start 23 New Zealand. Although no, that wasn't a possible starting team. And I think I had to clarify multiple times. But that was more based off the year that we've seen in Super Rugby and Top League, who would be the most informed players. But in terms of who I actually think, it's a very different side, and that's going to be coming out next week. But yeah, I always have those 50 disclaimers at the start to make sure that I clarify what the video is. And also, I thought the BBC had the wrong score for a bit. And also, what was the Māori versus Japan score? In the end, Māori All Blacks winning at 38-31. They were down by about 17 for most of that game. Had 2 yellow cards, but managed to come back into it, which I think many were surprised with as a whole. What's the for that game? What's the what? And yes, I truly don't think they can win the World Cup if they don't care about the July test. Yeah, but it's hard when you have half your players tied up in a final. Like, that always is going to be next level difficult. Because you can't have those guys like as your squad option. I will mention the Barbarians kick missed. So currently sits 5 points to 7. 1 try apiece after the first 10 minutes of this contest. It's been a quick start though. As Faf de Klerk now looking for that box kick again off his left. Barimi Vakatawa chasing after it. Big knock on from the Welsh winger. And now Lukan Salakaialoto looking for the offload. Knocked backwards by the Georgian Loosehead. Around about the halfway line. De Klerk digs around for it. Knock-on advantage is now over. I think that's something that normally happens in Barbars games too. The knock-ons and any sort of advantage does disappear relatively quickly. Sometimes you get a referee who just wants to keep the game flowing in a Barbars match. But now nice ball on the inside from Boshier. Goes to Virimi Vakatawa again, now short side. Not a lot of space to work with there for Nathan Hughes. Back across to the right once more here. Now Harry Plum, a little chipping behind. Looking to slap it back was Nankervel, and he's done beautifully to keep it on the side of the Welsh. And there's going to be another, on the Barbar side. Calm down, kids. Latest news is France is going to send some of their star players to New Zealand. Well, that's the thing. I still am of the firm belief that you have to beat them before people start talking trash about the side, because people have short memories. Last year, France almost beat New Zealand twice in New Zealand with what was considered as a terrible side and an insult to international rugby. They almost got past the ABs twice. So I feel like, they've got to beat them first. And then people can go, oh, they should have sent this guy or they should have sent that guy. But you've got to beat them first. Now, another penalty for the Barbarians. Kiwian back, Barbar's going to win. Says Andres there. Plummer got those bright socks on. He was a Clermont man, I believe. He actually helped them with an important kick near the end of their top 14 season. Faf de Klerk. Oh, okay. No, my eyes did not deceive me. Faf de Klerk just got lifted in the line out, ladies and gentlemen. I saw that flowing blonde here, and I was utterly confused at how he was the man who was getting thrown up in the air. I want to see the replay of this. Yeah, they chucked up Faf de Klerk at the front. They almost chucked him too high. He was probably much lighter than the guys that they are used to lifting. Score for the under-20 All Blacks. At the moment, they are winning 38 points to 21, although no one's on the field here. I think there was lightning before, and now they've had the lightning strike delay, is my guess. I think because of the bad weather, they've actually had to stop the game, which is not good. That seems to happen for a lot of under-20s games. They just don't seem to quite get it right. Nice take there from Varimi Vakatawa. That ball was kicked into touch from Kieran Hardy. Might be easier for the Barbars this weekend. I think so. I think Welsh defence will be a little bit more open at times. I mean, that was pretty open up against the box too, to be fair, when we saw 120 points scored. But yeah, no one's on the field at the moment for that New Zealand versus Japan game. So I think we're going to have a few delays in terms of the under-20s. I wonder who's playing at this stadium, because I know they've got two games happening simultaneously. I think Ireland are playing England at the moment too. Another penalty, this time awarded to the Welsh in the breakdown, getting locked over the ball for Dewey Lake. I'm going to do a bit of Googling here. One second. And like that, what do we got? I just want to know where that South Africa-Uruguay game has taken place and whether or not that's at the same location as New Zealand versus Japan. So that's at Kataisi. No, they're in a different stadium, so they should be fine. England versus Ireland, I'm not sure whether they're still playing. But yeah, it seems like they're having a few issues in the under-20s currently. Not having issues here in the Welsh backline with a bit of a movement towards the left-hand side. Blair Murray manages to clean it up. Now attempting the grubber in behind, and that one does go just inside of the Barbars 22. Taken back was the call from the referee, but now taken out with the run of Varimi Fakatawa. Makes an extra 15 metres. Oh, bit of a hard collision there on the ground. Faf de Klerk, back across to Harry Plummer, short ball to Lukan Salakai Lotto. Here to support the South Africans. Says Raven, well, we already saw Vincent Koch score the first try of the match for the Barbars. Faf de Klerk got lifted in the last line out. So they're certainly using the Bok players. Blair Murray going for the big boot downfield off his left. It's a good kick, but well covered at the back from Spring. Across to Harry Plummer now, 22 metres out. And puts that ball into touch. England under-20s beat Ireland under-20s 34. Oh, okay, so they got the game done before the problem started to arise. And yeah, it's been stopped due to bad weather. Currently 68 and a half minutes through that game between New Zealand and Japan. Here to support the South Africans and the Barbars team. And Fafa's captain, of course, go the Barbarians, says Raven. And also Scotland beat Italy and the huge under-20 upset. Yeah, they won it by about 6 points, didn't they? 16 minutes. This game's going very quickly at the moment. Always does for the Barbarians. The way that they try and play. There's a few drinks being run onto the field at the moment. Seen some decent work from Nathan Hughes on that number 8 jersey so far. And double check the scoreboard. Give it a shake. Here we go. And the clock wasn't updating, but the score is currently correct. It was a little bit of a high collision between Hughes and Wainwright, and I'm right on the jaw. Here to support my wife's country, go Wales, says Wafer. And the New Zealand under-20s and Japan game has been stopped. Hopefully they can get it back going. You know, no sort of serious stoppages on the cards. Definitely with only about 11 minutes remaining, but line out here for the Welsh on the halfway line. Nicely taken by Plumtree at the front of the line out. Another drop ball from Wales. That's starting to hurt them. Little grubber in behind from Nankerville. Out to Varumi Vakatawa. Spring throws the wide cutout pass away to Harry Plummer. Chipped in behind. He's got a few Welshmen lining that ball up, but he's made a very nice slow tackle. In fact, that time it's Andrew Callaway. Wales having to clear their lines from about 25 metres out from their own line. Now Plummer Chasing after this again. Another drop ball for Wales. I think it's dry out there as well. So just a few maybe early handling errors down to nerves. But the Welsh moving it away to the left-hand side here. Looking for the grubber. Bit of space as the Barbarians caught out, but nice work from Callaway to put on enough pressure. But it's picked up by Plumtree, who then puts it back down. Knocks it on 10 metres out from the line of the Barbarians. Now getting close though, Wales. They just need that ball to stick in the grass for a little bit longer. And they'll be good to go. You see it there, Andrew Callaway did very nicely. There could have almost been an accidental offside there, but Plumtree did knock it on anyway. Can imagine New Zealand lose game against France. New Zealand media go crazy. Well, even if New Zealand don't beat France by a big margin, the New Zealand media go crazy. That's something that has definitely got worse since that last World Cup. You just see so many, crazy headlines over here. I guess it's probably the same for most locations as well, but, you just got to remember that these guys are also like humans. Some people absolutely rip into them. But, yeah. Oh, match postponed due to weather. Postponed means that they'll come back later, right? That's not abandon. Abandon's the word that you don't want to see. Good afternoon, all. Says, hey, no, welcome in, mate. You are doing well. The Barbarians doing a little ship of mine with Fuff de Klerk and manages to clean it up 40 metres out from their line. Now the Barbarians with the leg, or through the legs pass, out to Varimi Bakatawa. This will be dangerous as that man can run the ball hard, but he has flicked it on the inside to Alex Nankervel. Bumps off Blair Murray as they move up to about 20 metres out from the line. A lot of extra post-contact metres made by Nankervel there. Now Plummer plays half, goes across to Lucan Salakaialotto. De Klerk moves it across to the left-hand side. Isaac Rodder. Why is Vince Cock playing here? I thought he was selected for the box. Not going to lie, says Hayno. I think he just missed out, didn't he? In terms of the options. Unless, of course, Russie's just gone, chuck a game under him while he's waiting. Okay, timer's been turned off. They are going to have a water break here. We've got to remember there is extreme heat at the moment in England, so the players will be getting hydrated every few minutes if they can. If England beat the Springbok, we won't hear the end of it. And I think the thing is, it's vice versa too, isn't it? How if South Africa beat England, that will also, the thing is, it's going to be a very ugly week on social media, no matter who wins that game. The best case scenario is a draw with no controversy, because at least that way, everyone stays calm a little bit, but yeah, it's going to definitely be one of those ones that you just avoid it for a week in terms of Facebook, Instagram, all those ones. But yeah, it is the cooling break, as they sometimes call it. Or at least they have in other competitions. 19 minutes through this contest, currently 7 points to Wales, 5 for the Barbarians. We did see the one Welsh try early on in this contest. And it was scored by Kieran Hardy for the Barbars. They've just had the try of Vincent Koch. One apiece, but the misconversion in this matchup for the Barbarians. Whereas on the other side of the equation, we did see the try successfully converted by Dan Edwards. I assume this is just going to be a 3-minute cooling break, and then they'll be straight back underway for more of this contest. There is another game around the corner. That is the Welsh ladies going head-to-head up against the Barbarians women's side. Are you going to watch the top 14 final today? I'm not going to watch it live. But I'll probably try and catch a replay of it. I should be able to avoid any sort of spoilers when it comes to the actual score of the game. So if I can do it strategically, I should be able to watch the replay this afternoon with a little bit of luck. Of course, it needs a lot of luck because there are spoilers everywhere. But yeah, hopefully I'll be able to avoid them all. So we'll go like this. We'll go like that as well. But if anyone's wondering why we've got a bit of a delay, it is just a cooling break. I have to stay in Singapore airport for 8 hours. Says Jasmine. It's a wee while. Long time to be at an airport. Now, it wouldn't be so bad if you were allowed to go out and about, but you're supposed to stay there, aren't you? You're not really supposed to venture away. is the top 14 final in neutral ground in France or in Toulouse's stadium? I'd assume that it's the home stadium advantage for Toulouse. Can't wait for the Box versus England next week. 36-17 to the Box. See, here's Mike. Yeah. See, ideally we want a close game between those. Well, as a neutral, I'd love a close game, but I feel like a lot of people want a one-sided game in favour of their side, which is completely fair enough. Definitely with the rivalry that has been building. Right, the cooling break has happened, ladies and gentlemen, so we are just about back underway for this game. It is going to be the scrum. And it is going to be, by the looks of it, about 22 metres out. No chance England going to beat the Box, says Clinton. And will most of the Hurricanes players be put in the New Zealand side? Maybe. I think that this first round of the Nations Championship will be probably when we see a bit more of Rennie picking off form. You know, it was talked about a lot throughout the stages before his first squad was announced. Toulouse with Montpellier game is free to air. Here in Ireland, says Hori. I might have to set myself to Ireland then to be able to watch it later on. So the ball will be in the hands of the Welsh halfback here, Kieran Hardy, 20 metres out from his own side's line. Both have been stood up here. Yeah, but I think Pollock will score against us. I hope he does. Don't understand the hate. He's a damn good player. Yeah, I always talk about it. It amazes me the amount of people who just purely hate someone that, like, to be honest, most haven't even watched play that much rugby. You know, and yes, can he be a little bit, like, rub it in the nose of the opposition and try and fire up the other team? Absolutely. But he's not the first player to use those tactics, and he definitely won't be the last. But, yeah, he gets people talking about this English side. You know, any headline, any announcement about the team, they talk about Henry Pollock. But that's because of the attention that people outside of England have given him. Most Englishmen, I think, don't even really care about him that much. They say, yeah, he's all right. He'll be a good player for the future. But it's because of the reaction from outside of England that, like, somehow he's become a global, like, name in rugby. Like, he's more well-known than some of those other guys who have been around for a long time. Kick conversion for the Barbars would have been Harry Plummer. He was in charge of the kicking department. The Box will be so desperate to pummel Henry Pollock, a very, very mean type guy. And who's in line, next New Zealand coach, maybe Tony Brown. I think Tony's going to be an assistant. So whether or not that opens up the door for a Jamie Joseph-Tony Brown combination, or whether maybe they still give Rennie another shot. At the end of the day, if Rennie wins the World Cup, you can't really sack him after that. I support the Springboks and anybody that plays against England. Reprobates rules, says the Massa. Currently, the Welsh have got themselves the ball again here. 42 metres out from the Barbars line, looking for the box kick to come down just outside of the 22. That is very nicely weighted. It's something that Japan 15 did wrong in their game earlier on up against the Māori All Blacks. They just got a little bit too much depth on those box kicks. Currently, Wales looking to shift this one away to the left-hand side. Back down nicely by the Barbarians defence. Now, of course, in the heat, these two sides are going to be getting pretty fatigued by the end of this matchup. Another penalty advantage in favour now of the Welsh. Plumtree goes on to Aaron Wainwright. Nice kick on the inside. Well controlled by Hardy, but he does knock it on. And we'll go back again for the initial penalty. 1 second, we'll go like that. Oh, match concluded due to bad weather. So New Zealand-Japan is 38-21. So the Kiwis, I guess, just win that because of the bad weather. I mean, they'll take it. They won by 17 points in the end. And, you know, the score being so even at halftime, they'd be more than happy with how they started. Looks like Ellis Park there says, hey, no, I assume you're talking about the empty seats, right? But yeah, there are sadly quite a few. They've just got their 9 of the Barbarians starting lineup over the age of 30. And hopefully Wales win and play well. It's important that Wales get momentum heading into the Nations Championship. Go Wales, says John. Exactly right. Yeah, they probably need this win a lot more than the Barbars do. Don't get me wrong. People love seeing the Barbars doing well. And it's very fun to say. It was really bad weather. It was looking like a tropical storm almost, says Hayno. They mentioned about that for the Japanese game. How, yeah, it was supposed to be bad weather, but the weather actually stayed all right, which was pretty surprising. Currently 10 metres out from the line. Wales now getting themselves on the front foot once more. Kieran Hardy goes across to Wainwright. Someone has to score this. But again, I think they've been dragged down just short. And it almost became held up, but they go wide to the left-hand side, dropping down over the line as Dan Edwards and the Welsh get themselves their second try. Why is this in England, not Wales? They played in South Africa last week, says Kahu. I would say that Twickenham obviously wanted the location or wanted the game, and they've got a women's Barbarians game taking place too. They could have gone at the Principality maybe, but I think there's also the Commonwealth Games. Is there still going on? I don't know whether or not Wales is a host of that, but there would have been some sort of reasoning, probably to do with money. And I'd assume they made more playing here than they would have at the Principality, even though I'm sure a lot of Welsh supporters would have loved to see their side in action before they head down south for the July internationals. Although, actually, to be fair, they don't head down south yet because they play Fiji, I believe, in Wales due to Fiji not getting to host their games. Are there no Jones in this Welsh side, says Lawrence? You believe it or not, no. Not a single Jones in there. There's a Joe. That's about as close as we got. We've got a James in there as well, but yep, no Jones. Doesn't happen too often. Māori New Zealand versus Japan. Do perhaps know the final score? It was 38-31 in favour of the Māori All Blacks. They were down by, I believe it was 17 points at halftime to then go on to win that game. So, a pretty impressive performance from the Kiwis in the second half. It's like an impressive try being scored by Dan Edwards, who also adds the conversion 25 minutes into this game now, 14 points to 5 in favour of Wales. What's he taken? About 30 metres out from their own line with Teddy Williams, the recipient of the ball. Come on, the Barbarians, let's go. Says Renner score. That one's gone very high. Hasn't got a huge amount of distance on it. Faf de Klerk going up for the ball. And it looks like Wales are once again in position. Wait to the left-hand side. Back into the pocket. A little bit of a fumble of the ball there for Dan Edwards, but manages to recover nicely. Now down towards the halfway line. Running onto that one nicely was Harry Plummer. But a huge amount of ground to be able to get there. Now Andrew Callaway pops it up to Cock. Now you're going to watch any under-20 games after this Wales game? Not this weekend. I was initially going to be doing a couple of them, but my parents have come up for the weekend. So because of that, I think we're going to be doing something tomorrow morning as well as in the afternoon. So rather than being super sleep deprived, I kind of wanted to be a little bit more awake. So yeah, because of that, after this game, this is going to end at like 3 a.m. anyway. And then I'll be heading to bed and then waking up after maybe like 5 hours of sleep rather than 2. And Fiji should have just allowed to play, or should be allowed to play their games in South Africa or Argentina. Says Hayno. And imagine if the Box go undefeated, says Splash TV. I mean, it can happen. Don't get me wrong. Like, they were pretty close last year with the loss. What was it? Lost to Australia in South Africa, lost to New Zealand at Eden Park. Outside of that, they won all their other games, right? So, like, it's not completely unheard of. We've seen sides go undefeated for a season before, and the Box, with the depth that they've got at the moment, they should be pretty close to it. And why are Fiji not allowed to host their internationals? That's really not fair. How do you grow the rugby there, says Mike? I think it just comes down to the financial side of things. Like, Fiji can make more money playing their games up north than they can playing in their own country, which is really sad. Well, Jordan, how long out for? Probably another couple weeks, I think. I'll be surprised if he gets announced up against the French. We do see Escaro making his way on. That is for Karashvili. Will be making his way off due to a little bit of an injury, I believe, here. Time has been turned back on. Bit of a stoppage there. Been a few stoppages throughout this game so far, but now line out for the Barbarians, 25 metres out from the Welsh line. Isaac Rodder pops it up to the left-hand side. Middle of the field, and a very good position for Alex Nankervel to again make some post-contact meters. Faf de Klerk Oh, that was a miscommunication there from the Barbars, and it has led to the Welsh now trying to get in a foot race. Aaron Wainwright at the moment versus Tom Spring, although Spring wins it comfortably. Now the big fend on Hardy. About 3 men on the outside. It's been a hard day at the office for Tame Plumtree and some of the tackles that he's had to make. Imagine if France beats the All Blacks, the media will be about embarrassed. Says Kahu. Oh, nice cross kick for Remy Fakatawa. Gets the offload away now. Chipping behind. And this one's going to bounce in an awkward way and just avoids Jeremy Ward. Then go into touch. Wales have decided to take this one quickly. I don't know whether that's the strategy in this type of heat. Now offload from the Welsh. What team do you have support in the FIFA World Cup? See short videos. I haven't really made up my mind yet, to be honest. We might end up doing the South Africa nice pick and go from Tame Plumtree. Massive amount of space for that man to be able to fly down the wing. He's gone for the grubber, shoulder to shoulder with Eric Plummer, who does just enough to be able to clean that ball up. Plumtree almost managed to get there, and also now we see the Barbarians leaving their feet in the breakdown. 28 minutes through at the moment. They do still lead by the 9 points. I think that they'll just be trying to set up for the angle, though Faf de Klerk doesn't seem in a huge hurry to clear this ball. Seems like they are happy enough to just keep on waiting that little bit longer. Now, de Klerk kicks it into touch. So we'll go like that. And like that. I guess it was a tough decision to walk away from Irish rugby. James Lowe off to Japan. Yeah, he's been around for a long time, Lowe. And he is Leinster's most decorated try scorer in history. He's had some massive moments for them throughout the years. But yeah, hopefully he can get some good money in Japan. Wales to take this one, says a roll there. Yeah, they've started quite nicely at the moment, the way that it does sit for the Welsh. But they need to keep it going. I feel like this Barbarian side, we saw in their game up against South Africa just last week, they had their little moments where they just completely switched on. They gelled as a unit. I support Portugal and Germany. See his short videos. Yeah, if they can gel, and the unpredictability as well as just the fearlessness of a Barbars team in form, definitely something to keep an eye out for. But the Welsh currently have got themselves the ball 40 metres out from the Barbarians line. Good low tackle made by Nankervel again. Trying to get that ball in the breakdown. Nathan Hughes was pretty close to getting the steal. In fact, that one's going to go on to their side. This one's kicked in behind. And nicely done by Harry Plummer to put the ball into touch. About 25 metres out from the Welsh line. Washed FC. Washed FC. Who's that in reference to? Is that reference to one of these two sides playing, or one of the football World Cup teams, or I don't get the reference. Now line out here for Dowie Lake. And can remember what games was your most viewed stream? The Rugby World Cup final. Would be still the most viewed of the channel, I believe, by a decent margin. Normally anything New Zealand, South Africa does relatively well. And greens from Germany, welcome in. Hope you are doing extremely well. Currently Wales are leading this game by the 9 points. Kieran Hardy is able to score the first try, and that's nicely taken by Callaway around the halfway line. Off the Klerk. Way to the left-hand side. I just saw the under-20s box versus Uruguay, Japan. I recently bet them 77-22. The box could put 100 on them, which is also another reason why I'm not that bothered about the fact that I probably will end up missing that game. South Africa loves Hamish and he loves us. Says Longku there. Yeah, still have to start planning that trip. I said I was going to go to South Africa, and I still haven't planned anything. But we'll get there eventually, I think. Around the halfway line, Faf de Klerk again looking for the kick in behind. Wanted the 50-22, but Plumtree, in fact, that time it was Blair Murray was back there to be able to cover it. Just booted it down the middle of the field. 5 metres out from their own line here, the Barbarians. Pass from Plummer across to Spring. And greens from Bali from a South African, says Gideon, so welcome in. Believe it or not, I have been to Bali, one of the 3 countries I've been to for Indonesia. Still charging for Wales. Nice pop pass up to Jack Morgan. Chopped down the tackle by Rodder. Now moving it on to the right. 32 minutes through. Beautiful short ball to Dewey Lake. They'll struggle to catch him. He passes across. Great hands from Wainwright. But he's dragged down 5 metres short. Onto the ball for Andrew Callaway and wins the penalty for the Barbarians. That was very well done for what was almost a massive mistake from this Barbars defence. And we have got there, who do you think will win the World Cup next year? Says Irul. I feel like there are about 5 sides in the running at the moment. And next time, Tim the Chaser. Yeah, you guys should link up, bring old 2 cents with. You guys might never leave, says Longku. I think my budget would definitely mean that I have to leave. I don't think I'll be able to stay for too long. I'm sure New Zealand will leave seat open for you when they tour South Africa, says Kevin. But just slipped over Aaron Wainwright. One of the last minute moments. Callaway doing some great work to get over the ball at the right time. He's definitely still in the equation, I would say, for the Australians, the way that he has been able to play for the Barbars in these last 2 games. Not sure, rugby is my game, says De Super. Line out throw here, 22 metres out from their own line, Elliot D. Across to the left, short, flat pass to Hughes. Look for the offload up to Vincent Cock initially. Couldn't quite free up the hands, but gets it away to a different South African and Fuf de Klerk now straightening run. Callaway. Oh, he's just gone right over the top of Jack Morgan. What is a phenomenal run from the ex-Wallaby. Pops the ball up to Plummer too. Now a kick in behind it into Virumi Vakatawa. Chasing after this one close to the sideline. They'll go back for the penalty. Did the New Zealand under-20s match get played out? Did they finish the game early? They actually finished the game early for that one. But New Zealand, I believe, do still get the win for the scoreline up till that stage. So, yeah, they win 38-21 for that contest. I don't think it will hurt them too badly in terms of the pools, but it would have been interesting if they had been in a different group, because of that points differential. Am I late? Says Jacques, you are about 33 minutes late from the start of this game, but there's still plenty more of the match to go. Fuf de Klerk. Potentially going to use him in this line out again. Not quite in the same way that they used him earlier. They chucked him up in the air for the line out lift. Just showing Nathan Hughes again on the screen. He's had some good runs so far. Thanks, Hamish. Says, Jacques, no worries at all. Do you still play rugby on PC? Remember Stream? I did a midweek a few years ago. Not really a huge amount of rugby gaming lately, purely because of the fact that the game's still pretty broken. But I'd like to do some sort of career mode at some point. Why do they end the under-20 game early? Due to the terrible weather. The play got abandoned due to the wetness and also just the terrible conditions. That's going to be a knock-on from the Barbarians. This time, Fuf de Klerk making the mistake. Chasing after this one. Casually chasing after it too for Eddie James. He had all the pace in the world, but unfortunately, his teammate there, Tom Rogers, has ended up knocking the ball on. Now the loose head prop for the Barbars, running it forward. Now still under the scrum advantage, but told to use it here. So I think that de Klerk will just look to find the safety of touch. Who do you think is the dark horse for the Nations Championship? Oh, Klerk might be injured out. But I think someone like I think that, because the thing is, dark horse-wise, you got to look at someone who's not close to the favourites. So someone like if France can sneak a couple wins down south, they might actually go all right as a whole. But I'd say probably England, keeping an eye on them for the Nations Championship. We've got to remember, no matter what, aside from the North, are going to be in the final. So you're in that scenario, whether it's England, whether it's France, whether it's Ireland, Scotland, Italy, whoever it is, they've still got a spot in that final no matter what. So yeah, it's more of that question of who can get there. They are just showing the women's Barbarians side. They are waiting for their chance to play in a game later on up against the Welsh women. Ball's been dropped out the back of the Welsh rolling maul. Not quite as smoothly as they would have liked. Dowie Lake just asking the referee whether or not maybe it was because of a Barbars player in there. See there, Ruby Tui. Is she in the women's Barbarians team? I haven't actually seen the women's Barbars side. 1 second, we'll go like this. She might be actually the captain of the side by the sounds of it. Oh, yeah, she's out on the wing. The captain. There's Amy. Oh, no, that might not be Amy Rule, actually. A few decent players in there. But now scrum feed here for the Barbarians again. And if I think Scotland, have had a pretty good season, beating England and France this year, says Kahu. Currently the 2 tries for the Welsh compared to the 1 of the Barbars. And that extra 2 points from Dan Edwards might actually be absolutely crucial for the overall scoring of this game. It's been a much better defensive effort from both teams compared to what we did see last week. And also, there's been a few too many handling errors, you could argue, on both sides too. And that has helped keep the scoreline a little bit lower this hobby. I think you should consider making jobs. Not sure how much YouTube pay. The easiest way to say it is I can only have it as a hobby because I still have to work a full-time job alongside it, because the channel pretty much almost makes enough to pretty much keep itself running, and then from there I normally have to put some money in myself anyway. That one's going to be a kick downfield now, nicely taken around the halfway line for the Barbarians. A little shuffle there from Tom Spring as he moves up to 40 metres out. Why not? Please support your team. They're into the round of 32. They have big potential in this World Cup. See short videos. Now Tofa Fanua with the offload. Now the Barbars, bit of space here. Right hand side, Alex Nankervel decides to grub her. I don't know why these two sides are so obsessed with going for kicks at the moment, but it seems like it might work for the Barbarians. Yes, it does this time. Wales made a meal of it. Quick tap taken by Alex Nankervel. Can he get over? No, in fact, it wasn't him. It was instead the man on the outside, Jeremy Ward, who gets driven into touch. Afternoon, chat. I can't stop for long. I got to drop my kid off, says Inquisitor. And also, if you plan visiting South Africa, I would advise staying in the Western Cape, in the town there, like Somerset West. Watch the opening game at Cape Town Stadium and the test there in Cape Town, says Gilly. And also, we've got their pop quiz. By how many points will the Springboks win the World Cup next year? Says Shucks. Yeah, in terms of locations in South Africa, I feel like I definitely want to move around a little bit. Just to get to kind of fully see everywhere, or at least multiple locations anyway. Seems like a slow game. It's slowed down a little bit. I think that can also be put down to the heat, though. Like, at the end of the day, these two sides are playing, and I want to say it's like 35 degrees Celsius, so you can probably understand why they aren't keen to absolutely fly around the field. Oh, penalty awarded to the Welsh. That is for the Barbarians not rolling away. Time goes against, looks like Lukan Salakai Lotto. And penalised for that. Who's favourites for the Under-20 World Cup? I believe South Africa are again, after the fact that they won the Under-20 Rugby Championship and also won in their game, or they won last year. Are you coming to South Africa? That's awesome. Not yet. I always say within like the next 3 to 5 years, somewhere around there, but yeah, still a little way away, I'd say. Currently 30 seconds remaining of this first half. Fuff de Klerk, who's had a busy first 40. Dowie Lake, though, I think Wales would be happy to kick this ball into touch. Let's try and preserve some energy. They are about 35 out from their own line. Did you watch the Wars? I watched some of the Wars. They did well at times, but yeah, the Dolphins got them in the end, didn't they? Only 8 seconds remaining on the clock. And I would say with the way that the Welsh are just hitting this ball up, I'll be pretty happy to tap this one out. And that is going to be halftime now in this contest. 14 points to 5. With the 40 minutes remaining. If you come to GQ, let me know, says Kevin. I was born and raised in Wales. Football just isn't my thing. East South African supporter will shout you accommodation in South Africa, Says getting in there. I said about a series idea that I haven't planned out yet, but I feel like it would be quite cool to do. But I'd also need some sponsors for it, because it was going to be something to do with Bry's and also different subscribers' houses. Cape Town is full of gorgeous girls, bro. Catch a farm girl and you will never go hungry again, says Jacques. When does the NPC start? Who do you think, or who do you support in the NPC? I support Wellington, says Kahu. I don't really have a NPC side, to be honest, but it starts up, I believe it's in August, that we are going to see the first games of the NPC. So it's getting pretty close. The crazy thing is, we're only 8 weeks away from the South African first test match up against New Zealand. Group tour? Don't know. I feel like I don't think I could convince any of the other Kiwi lads to go to South Africa with me. Because George and Daniel, they're both farm boys, so they're far too busy most of the time to be able to leave. Isaac's got his job, so he wouldn't come. So if it was a group, it definitely wouldn't be the other Kiwi lads who are with me. It'd be someone else. When did the Curry Cup start? I'm not too sure about the Curry Cup in terms of its start date. I'd assume it wouldn't be a mile away either, though. Where are we? The NPC starts in 32 days. First day of it is the 30th of July. So right at the end of pretty much the July international window. But then that's also when we start to get towards that South African tour. We have got there. Won't Tim and Haino go? I mean, Haino already lives in South Africa, so that's probably very easy for him, I would think. But Tim's a busy man. He's doing his degree and all sorts, so I don't think he'd be free to do it anytime soon. We should go fund Hamish tour South Africa, says Kevin. Yeah, although I'd want to wait until I actually have a good plan rather than just collecting money and then ending up with plans changing, because then that would feel a bit rough. So yeah, I feel like before anything like that, if I did go down that route, I'd definitely want it all planned out so that you guys know what's happening rather than it being like, oh, I might come to South Africa if we make this much and then not have a good plan. I won't Vic and Vern go, says Mohadeen. I mean, they're in Switzerland at the moment. They probably go back to South Africa every once in a while too, I would think. Halftime in this contest between Wales and the Barbarians. We've seen the 3 tries scored so far. Have you met the 2 Cents Rugby YouTuber? I think he mentioned you once. I've met him, but not in person. So, yeah, we've done a few videos together, and also he's come on a few live streams before, had a few chats. But I haven't met him in person. But that might have to be the trip first before going for a South African one up to Auckland. That's a lot closer and won't break the bank as much. I think New Zealand may have just dropped a catch in the test match, ladies and gentlemen. I think Ben Sears may have put down a catch off Will O'Rourke's bowling, where they would have got Gus Atkinson out. Yeah, it is actually a drop catch. It was a pretty poor effort from Ben Sears. Are you going to Australia? Not anytime soon that I know of. I watch both, but mostly rugby, see short videos. Curry Cup starts the 17th of July. Also, that's quite close too, isn't it? That's only 3 weeks away. Somewhere around there. Second half of this contest, I would say, is probably about 7 minutes away from starting up. Maybe a little bit longer. I think they won't mind giving them 1 or 2 extra minutes because of the heat that they are dealing with. ASN in December, says Mohadeen, potentially. I think that one still hasn't been completely planned out yet. It may actually be January now instead, by the sounds of it, but nothing confirmed. We're just listening to the Welsh commentators. They're speaking Welsh, so I have no idea what's being said, but I assume they'll say, oh, it's quite close. 9 points difference to anyone's game for the taking. I mean, I always look at the win predictor voting. Looks like your major subscribers are South Africans, always so biased. Says Roger. Wait, so what team did they bias towards in this one then? Is it, I guess, the Barbarians because they've got a couple South Africans? Because, like, there aren't that many. There's actually more Welshmen in the Barbarians, I believe, than there are South Africans. And you buy $1, or, a dollar buys you about 80,000 Rand, right? That should help. Not quite. I think it's 10 Rand, isn't it? I like the size of your chicken buckets over there from, like, KFC or something, though. You can get, like, a big bucket of chicken for much less than you get it here in New Zealand. Yeah, I want chicken. It's currently 1:55 a.m. I don't think anyone would deliver chicken at this hour of the morning. McDonald's deliver at this hour. That's a bit crazy, isn't it? And somewhere called Kibitza. That closes in 4 minutes. So they have till 2 a.m. to be able to get the food. You can get a mixed meat burrito for buy one, get one free. It's basically Monopoly money, says Jacques. Do you think Uruguay will beat the Box? No chance. If they did, I'd be utterly shocked. But I just don't see it happening. I think that South Africa, if they don't win by 50 plus, I'd be very surprised. They will almost always vote anti-Northern Hemisphere, says Roger. As Africa is very cheap compared to New Zealand. Yeah, I saw that big bucket of chicken and fell in love straight away. But, yeah, one day I have to compare the chicken. I have to get what's it called? The Gatsby, something like that. That's a type of sandwich over there, isn't it? And it's supposed to be quite good. Quite a big, thick sandwich. Second half of this contest. Sitting about the 5 to 10 minutes away. Are you going to vote for the government this year? Says Kahu. Am I going to vote for the government this year? Dagwood. What's Dagwood? Is that like a type of meat? Or like Dagwood oh, okay, it's a sandwich. Oh, that looks like a cartoon sandwich. That looks like one of those ones that Tom and Jerry would have back in the day, or Scooby-Doo would be snacking on. They just make it a big, tall sandwich, do they? There's a lot of stuff in it too. And Wales really needs something to cheer about. Hoping they put up a good fight. I'm rooting for the Barbars because of Fuff, says Robert. Oh, New Zealand just took a wicket. I think Nathan Smith got it. And Jofra Archer is out for anyone following along with the test match. They are also playing in England with pure heat out there at this stage. Breakfast sandwich. See, if I had a sandwich like that for breakfast, I'd want to sleep. Like straight after. Is there a Kiwi lad, South Africa? So they should call them the Safa lads. Says Sock. I thought that's what you meant by the Gatsby sandwich, says Jacques. Where is it? Gatsby sandwich. I think it's... Is it in Cape Town, maybe? I think someone said ages ago. Named after Archie and Blonde, says Daryl. They're just showing the tries that we have seen so far in this game. Aaron Wainwright dragged down just short initially, but then Dan Edwards was able to finish it off. And Dagwood soak up Friday night parties, says Jacques. And I will mention the first try scorer for the Welsh was also Kieran Hardy. So they've had 2 tries scored by that 9 and 10 combination. On the other side of the equation, we have seen the 1 try for the Barbarians that was scored on the near side of the field from Vincent Koch. I think that Wales will just want to get going here early in the second 40 minutes, try and cement a decent-sized victory. The Welsh under-20s game is about to start, says Hori. Who are they playing in the under-20s? I think they've got... Do they have? It's not a Six Nations side, is it? They got Georgia. And France versus Fiji is also just about to kick off. That one's going to be taking place at the same time. There's a lot of games in quick succession that are taking place for the under-20s. The next round is going to be happening on Thursday and Friday New Zealand time, which we're hopefully going to be able to cover a little bit more of. I was like, especially sandwich the Gatsby. Yeah, Someone said about it, and it's from a place, but I can't remember where it was. But like, it's a big, thick sandwich that looks pretty good. And Vincent what? Says short videos. Vincent Koch, the man who was able to score. Good afternoon, Hamish Gatsby is a meal. Says see something. See, trying genuine biltong would also be all right. What's a Welsh specialty food? We got any Welshmen who can let me know what's like something in Wales that you'd eat that's like just Welsh or like properly like known as Welsh cuisine? I just throw the bones. You will meet your wife in South Africa, nice farm girl, immigrate and cheer for the box. Says Gilly there. As Wales still hold a tier 1 standing because they haven't beaten anyone in tier 1 nations, including losing to Italy. I think they're still tier 1 though. Of all the Nations Championship, is there a Northern Hemisphere pool and a Southern Hemisphere pool, or is it something different? Says Kahu. Yeah, it's a little bit like that. Like by the time you get to the playoffs, it gets a little bit more confusing, but pretty much, yeah, you're in 2 groupings with yourselves pretty much. Got a thumbs up there from Sock. And in there too. They are just talking to Ruby Tui at the moment. She's going to be captaining the women's Barbarian side. Gatsby, you get in Cape Town. I'll get you one when you're in Cape Town, see something. Is Wales considered a tier 1 or tier 2 nation? They put up a great fight when they want to, says Robert. I think they're still tier 1 in terms of the official standings and whatnot. See, I told you our farm girls are in the Shizners, says Jacques. The Shizners is a word that I have not heard, I think, ever. Maybe. That I know of. Anyway, are the 120 games being shown on Sky TV? Some of them are, but they're also being shown, I think, on Rugby Pass, the ones that aren't here in New Zealand, but they've got a fair few of them. Once again, I'm about to sneeze, so I'll very quickly mute and hide for a second. I muted myself before I finished the sentence. 1 second, we'll go like this. We'll go like this. Yeah, good. I think. It's Snoop Doggism. And how about the Freedom Cup, the box in the New Zealand, or what's about the Freedom Cup, the box New Zealand compete for? What's about, like, as in, like, what's the story behind it? Did you see the Camden Market? No, what's that? Camden Market. Is it just like a big, I guess it's just a big market, right? Oh, it's very colourful. And from Athlone, it's a cheap sub to be shared, 1976, by a guy named Richard. It's been a long halftime break. I assume they're almost back into it, ladies and gents. Unless, no, we're not delayed. I think that both sides will be just about to make their way back out of the tunnels. Dealing with a lot of the heat at the moment out there at Twickenham Stadium. Standout players for the Welsh. I think Plumtree's been in a lot of the action at this stage. Farm girls can cook and make all that nice food, like Dagwoods, Putki, Snoke, and salads for Bry. Men Bry, though, you have to learn, says Gilly. And also know when do the All Blacks compete for it again? We won't this year as they play 4 games, says Kahu. So I'd assume probably next year then. And enjoying the cricket between England and New Zealand. Yeah, currently it's getting pretty close. Trailing by 86 at the moment, the English, 2 wickets in hand. I'd like to see it be pretty even. What channel is it on for us here in New Zealand? It's on S4C if you've got a VPN. That's the way that I'm watching it. The Fiji versus France game is also delayed because it is in the same place as New Zealand versus Japan. Yeah, that's a bit of an annoyance, isn't it? In terms of the delays that they're going to be experiencing. Because only half of the draw is actually going to be completed decently. I must try a fit kook. I probably mispronounced that. And did you know Sunday is a sad day, but the day before is a Saturday? It's not a bad one. I didn't mind that one. It's currently 2:04 a.m., so maybe I'm more generous than I'd normally be. But the way I read it as well, probably, it was good. I'm adding lamb curry and rice with a cup of tea, no milk. It's great guns, no more Coke while I eat curry anymore. Cup of tea, no milk. And dad joke, you get the pass, says Shuck Smith in there too. Right, this second half must be starting soon, ladies and gentlemen, because it's been a long time since they had them go off the field. And maybe it is because I don't actually understand what they're saying in terms of the Welsh commentary, and also because of the fact that they've just got a blank screen waiting for the second half to start, looking like Wales are holding up to their goal, performing off their Italy performance, says Purd. Yeah, them winning this game up against the Barbars would be massive in terms of the overall confidence for this Welsh side. They just need something, They got the game up against Fiji just next week, where they probably will go all right. Wales leading Georgia under 20s, says Kahu, and Barbarians all the way, says Willem. So far, the one try for the Barbars from Vincent Koch. We've only seen forward scoring for the Barbars. We've only seen back scoring for the Welsh. The 9-10 combination of Hardy and Edwards, both running in one each. You ever been to South Africa to watch rugby? If not planning to, says Stuart. One day I'd like to. I've never been to South Africa just in general. But we were talking about a little bit earlier on that maybe one day I'll get the chance. Barbarians having a couple of beers at halftime. Feel like this game should have been on Sky, and the Box Barbars game not have been more entertaining, says Kahu. You see, it's been a different kind of game, hasn't it, compared to that Barbarians versus South Africa game. I think we had over 60 points by halftime in that other contest. Whereas currently here, we've only had the 19. Hopefully, they're about to get it back underway. But score predictions, I don't really know, because Wales had some pretty good moments to only have 14 points on the board. Is the stadium full? Not even close. They got a lot of empty seats at Twickenham. They've also got a women's game later on tonight where they might get a few more filing in. To watch that match. You believe Dave Rennie is off to a good start? The thing is, people were sacking him before he even announced the squad. And the more I look at the squad, the more I can see the sense in it. So I'd say he's off to a decent start. Like, he was never going to be able to select every player that everyone wanted to see, because realistically, he only has 34 players available. So, I think he's done all right. I think I want to see the players in action before we start looking to sack him right from the get-go. But, yeah, it'll be intriguing to see what kind of lineup actually gets put out there. They're still having the halftime chat here, which makes me wonder how much longer we've actually got to the halftime break. If Wales lose this, it might might overhaul on the Welsh Rugby Union board. We might get Gatlin back to sit on the board. What's your favourite thing to eat? Quick and easy? Or quick and easy? I mean, toast is pretty quick and easy. I don't mind a piece of toast if I need to have it. What else do I like that's quick and easy? How quick are we talking, Kevin? How much time do I have to cook something? Right, the sides are just making their way out of the tunnel. The Welsh, how big is the New Zealand squad? 34 players. Well, 35 because they have got Jamie Hanna's injury cover. So, yeah, kind of 35, but 34, really. Right, the Welsh are on. We just wait for the Barbars to make their way out of the tunnel. Get us back underway. We have got the reason the halftime is so long because of the heat. They extend the breaks for some reason, says Kahu. Oh, so I've got 5 minutes to either cook or eat something. I'd probably say you still go toast. If you want to be fancy, you can put a piece of cheese in between the bits of toast, and you got like a bad version of a toasty with non-melted cheese. You probably couldn't get an egg done in 5 minutes, unless it's a pretty raw one. Well, you maybe. Depending on how hot your pan is, bring on the popcorn, sisters, says Juan Pierre. And some South Africans are insane, says no one knows nothing. I think some people, no matter where they are in the world, are insane. But, yeah, we seem to find a few. I'm a 36 player in the squad. I will be making sure the boys' undies are washed. It's a job that needs to be done, though, you know. Underrated part of the staffing, the ones who do the laundry. Fruit Loops and Milk, says Seller. I'm definitely excited for the France game in Christchurch with the larger swath of quality in the squad right now. I'll make for something more than game 2 last year. This one's going to be taken by Wales just past the 10 metres. In terms of the kick, it's nice to see Rays are smiling again and good to see Deans. CSC something. I thought I did spot Robbie Deans to his side, so now I'm glad you've kind of clarified it there. But yeah, he looks happy, which is actually quite nice because he never got to look happy playing for the or being in the All Blacks coaches. That's going to be the penalty awarded here to Wales. Ryan Elias has made his way onto the field. That's for Dowie Lake. Thomas is off. So I think they may have made all the replacements in the front row here for this Welsh side. The early penalty, though, in the half. Yeah, so Thomas is off and Barrett is on. And Ben Warren is on for Dylan Lewis. So, yep, all new front row for the Welsh here in the second half. The France vs Fiji game's still not on. I hate Lightning. Yeah, Lightning's a real awkward one because they've got to wait 30 minutes in between lightning strikes. And then if there's any sort of lightning strike that happens in that period of time, they have to reset. And Dean's another Cullen killer coach. And commentary only, please, says Patrick. We normally do a little bit of everything. If you're looking for just commentary, I'd recommend S4C. But normally we get distracted seeing as it's currently 2 a.m. Currently Wales have got themselves the possession. They sit about 20 metres out. Nice offload there. Only sit in the 10 out. Oh, no, never mind. Referee will go back for the original knock on. This game's still on. Fiji versus France might be later. But this one's just got back underway. We see there Dowie Lake is hugging a towel. Hopefully no sort of injury for that man. He was one of the 2 co-captains alongside Jack Morgan heading into this matchup. To really test the gas tank to be able to play for the full 80 minutes in this contest. Honestly smart, protecting Lake for Fiji and giving the young props game time against the quality experience in the opposition, says Perd. Yeah, there's no need to risk any sort of injury for this match. You know, because don't get me wrong, the result is important, but you also want to have those guys all available. There's lots of lightning here in Bangkok the other night. Can't find a stream anywhere to watch this match. S4C has it. BBC iPlayer has it. Stan Sport has it. And then the S4C YouTube channel has it if you're in certain locations. Penalty awarded to the Barbarians, but the Clerk now cutting on the inside. Callaway, there's a player who might almost be sleeping here for the Welsh. Kieran Hardy, very slow to get back up to his feet. Vizenkov, the lone try scorer for the Barbarians in this game. Fuff the Clerk again with a box kick. Looks like Hardy is struggling though, and actually he might not be knocked out. I think it's the shoulder that he is dealing with. When do you think Hardy will make his decision where he's playing next season? You'd assume he'd have to make it relatively soon, but he'll be in constant talks at the moment with Rennie as well as New Zealand Rugby in terms of what option he feels is his best one. Nathan Hughes springs back up to his feet. Oh, almost a twist there on Plumtree. Now sitting about 40 metres out. The big fem from Spring goes off to Alex Nankerval. He tries to bulldoze over the top of Murray. Risky flick pass. Back to the halfway line. Picked up by Rodder. Not a lot of slide in the turf at the moment due to how dry it is out there. No look pass from the Barbars. Getting risky with it. And another knock on from Wales. Keep thinking you're saying Wales under 20s as I'm watching that. And I'm watching a live stream against the other Wales. Confusing, says Kahu. It's not just a rugby commentary live pod. It is a therapy session. We break out our grievances and hatred for Tom Latham. He did all right the other day, though, didn't he? Latham and Conway. Speaking of, New Zealand just got another wicket. Bashir is now at the crease. But Alex Nankerval turned into quite the play. He was always strong enough for the Chiefs. Sounds like classic Barbarians rugby out there. Yeah, they're just going for no-look flick passes now. Hoping that something sticks. It looks like George North is just warming up. Of course, that man has had a huge amount of caps for the Welsh, but he is today going to be playing up against them in this Barbarian side. They're saying a massive opportunity due to a few of the injuries as well for both of these sides to have new names in there. Yeah, he did 150. I was happy for him for once. And a long time on you, Tom. See his sock. Off the clerk. Feeding the scrum in. So much sport going on at once. Cricket, rugby, so much. Says Kahu. Now backline here for the Barbars. Straight through with Spring, but he's dropped it. He was all but able to get another break. And then just let the ball slip through the fingertips. I think both sides are dealing with pretty sweaty hands at the moment. I'm looking forward to being back in New Zealand, says Jasmine. Oh, it's kicked him behind here. Wales have an acre of space here for Dan Edwards, who picks the ball up. No one back there for the Barbarians. That is not the first time that Wales have been able to expose that bit of a gap. And Edwards gets his double as the Welsh get their third as well. 19 points to 5 up now. It'll be a very low-scoring game for the Barbars, says Kyle. I said in the semi-final of the Super Rugby is very scrappy. Yeah, it was the kicking behind and just no one back there for the Barbarians. I assume that was a misread. In fact, no. I think what happened there was the fullback was actually injured for the Barbarians. He was down up the field further. So Wales realised the fact that they had an injured player meant one less man at the back. And, you know, it's one of those ones you have to play up against what's in front of you. And Wales have seen that opportunity and gone, you know what? He's injured. He's not there. We'll go in behind and we'll score the try. Georgia 14-0. Says Kahu there. Japan lost from a massive lead. They did indeed, although they did it last year as well up against the Māori All Blacks. That kick has actually missed away to the side. It's going to keep the score at 19 points to 5. Currently 14 points separating these two teams. It was the last time Wales won 2 in a row. Italy now Barbars. Says Kahu. It would be a little while for the Welsh. Right, George North. He makes his way on. I do see as well Santiago Arata, the Uruguayan. He makes his way on. New Zealand just took the last wicket in the New Zealand-England test. So New Zealand going to be batting in the very near future. You're going to get to talk about Tom Latham's sock because he's going to be out there batting in about 10 minutes. Like they've said, George North just looking to have a game for the Barbars before ending the career here. It's going to be low score, not same like the Springboks, says Mohadeen. There's been a lot more tackling going on in this game. A few more handling errors too. Another knock on from the Welsh. Haven't started the second half on fire, but the thing is, they've scored more points than their opposition at the moment, so they probably won't be too mad at that. They've had times where they probably feel like they should have done better. Hope he doesn't golden duck it. Says Sock. You see what Rassi said about Pollock in the press conference? I saw some of it. I haven't actually watched the whole press conference yet. But it seems like he has a lot more respect for Henry Pollock than a lot of supporters do. But people always say that they trust Rassi no matter what. So if Rassi says he's a good player, he's probably a good player. Arata is proper quality. Disappointed to not be able to watch him live in this game, says Purd. He's got something about him, and I think he's been in the Barbarians a couple times, hasn't he, Santiago Arata? Uruguay. Probably very happy to have him. Callaway has gone off the field. That is for George North. So, yeah, Callaway was the man who was down. Now, big push there and an advantage now going in favour of the Barbarians. Moving away to the right. Nankerville pops it in behind. Passed out to George North. Close to the try line. He bulldozes over the Welsh, his old teammates and all, and scores the try for the Barbarians to get them back into this game. He said he's like, Sasha, I don't know why he said that. Says Kahu. Who scored it was George North, who managed to score the try again up against his old side. He's only been on the field for about 5 minutes. No, in fact, even less than that, probably about a minute, I would say. Currently 31 minutes remaining here. And just finished it off going over the top. George of the North. Says Sock, do you know the Springboks are telling you for end of year 2? Now that was class. Was it his first touch too? Oh, I think it was. Yeah, they just got it out to him, and they went bang straight away. Gets the scoreline in a very interesting position now. Okay, that kick is also missed. So they are currently sitting 0 from 2 off the kicking tee for the Barbarians. It's a very good Welsh team looking at it. The box destroy Henry. I hate him so much, says Kahu. Away Vincent and the Barbarians team, just having a run round, isn't he? Getting out there, having a bit of a go. Now the 30 minutes left here. The Welsh kick it off long. And as we get closer to the end of this game, of course, we're going to have that 3-minute cooling break. Arata from inside of the 22 does go down towards the silo. Ruben Morgan Williams has made his way on for Kieran Hardy, who was having a few shoulder issues. Zamet selected for the squad. He wasn't in this lineup, but I assume he's in the squad as a whole. That's another penalty, this time won by Nathan Hughes. The breakdown, another penalty. Nice, now the Welsh don't have to give any free passes for North unless they half-ass the defence. Or the try scorers for the Barbars. So far, George North and Vincent Koch are the two who have managed to score. And under 20, George has scored. Hamish, please don't break her heart. Whose heart are we talking? Do you think Bongi going to be in the Springboks team, says Mohadeen? Maybe if there's an injury. I think that Rassi will still have him as a backup, but I don't think he'll be a main part of the team just with his age. And France game's still not on, says Kahu. They're going to have a few delays by the sounds of it for the weather. Be interesting what happens there, whether or not they reschedule or those two sides share the points. That could actually make them miss out. My aunt asked me to ask you if a 53-year-old widow with a big heart and also a love for caramel or for Magnum ice creams might tickle your fancy by any chance. Why do I find it hard to believe that your aunt actually asked you to ask me? Are you sure that you aren't just like trying to set your aunt up without her knowing? We've had that before. Now, sitting about 5 metres out from their own line here, Wales looking to try and get a bit more territory. For the start of the second half, they have had a lot of handling errors along the way. Scoring the under-20 game. One of them hasn't started with France versus Fiji. The other one, I think, is 14-7 in favour of the Welsh over Georgia. As Springbok under-20 still playing, they should be. They're playing at the location that hasn't been rained off yet. 3 more changes coming now for the Welsh. It's going to be Sam Costello, Mason Grady, and also, I think it was Harrison Keddy. Makes his way on. Who are the Barbars try scorers? Once again, not Clerk, Vincent Koch, as well as George North. And they are the two who have scored thus far. Now thrown to the back of the Barbarians line out with Alex Nankervel. Rata moves across to Lukan Salakai. Lotto still physical after the first 52 minutes. Thanks to you. I found a stream. Thank you very much and have a nice day. Says Michael, no worries. Hopefully it does work smoothly for you. Now Nankervel moves across to Hughes again. Hamish reads us too well. We can't even speak in Afrikaans anymore. He knows us too well. And it sounds like there's only one more Welsh sub. Yeah, I think it's Ryan Woodman, the only man who hasn't come on yet. Paul Aloamile, the Samoan. He's made his way on for one of the Barbarians try scorers, Vincent Koch. Now across to the left again. This is going to be a bit of an interesting one here. Because if the Barbarians are the next team to strike. Oh, another advantage, this time for Wales. Being off their feet, George North, he's dropped the ball, but it's gone backwards. Now Arata, 5 metres out, still under the advantage. Like he was struggling to find the ball in there. Lukan Sadakai, Lotto goes back across to Varumi Vakatawa. Great 2-man tackle on him. You've got to shut him down soon as he gets that ball, or else it can be danger with those metres that he can make. Loose offload coming from the Barbars. They go back for the penalty. My aunt wants to sleep with you, Hamish. He is a great auntie. He is a great auntie. And this game, way more entertaining than last week's game. Fiji vs Barbarians would be epic. And Georgia vs Wales is 12-5. Says Kahu. Oh, bit of a set play there from the Barbarians with the midfield line out now, getting very close to the line. Elliot D pops it off to Hughes, who scores it, or does he? It looked like it was over for a second, but it's ruled as held up. Didn't quite get it down in the end. At least it's not another blowout match. Both the finals games were so disappointing, says Xander. Yeah, on a weekend that we were just hoping someone would compete. We just didn't get it, unfortunately, in any of the games. Top 14 final hopefully will be a bit closer. I know that they had, was it last year or the year prior, that there was a really one-sided top 14 final. Just showing Eddie James the way he was able to hold him up. Yeah, Lachlan Boshier in the middle of the field line-out attempt. Yeah, James has slid in underneath to be able to stop that grounding. Who got it to... Kuka got it in to hold it up. Eddie James was the main culprit of it. But there were two other Welshmen also involved in the process. Now Nankervel goes across to Varimi Vakatawa. Again, gets wrestled a little bit further towards the sideline. Some hard hits throughout this game. I think there's going to be some sore bodies heading into the Nations Championship next week. Great acceleration off the mark for Harry Plummer. Rata, back to the right again. Wales have to be very careful not to be the next side to concede. Alex Nankervel, good meters made from him. In fact, he's been doing it all game as well. Did you ever play Rugby 26 again? Most people still hate the game. I haven't played it for a good, little while. And I normally only play it when I absolutely have to. All ball was back. Now Wales kicked him on. Blair Murray, he's got a ton of pace here. He's looking to win the foot race, but George North gets back, takes it beautifully and passes it off to Nankervel, who didn't quite get the strike on the ball that he was after. It's gone more into touch earlier than he would have liked. Looking for another risky offload there, the Barbarians, which you can always expect in this type of matchup, definitely with how open it has been at times. James really has been the story of the Welsh improvement through the Six Nations. Sounds like he's not slowing down. Yeah, he's kind of been because that's the thing. You lose George North, right? And then all of a sudden it just feels like such a big gap to fill. And I do think that Wales, in terms of key positions, right? Dan Edwards, I think, has done quite nicely and could be the next filler for Dan Biggar. You've got Blair Murray at 15 as a potential filler for Liam Williams. Now you've got Eddie James as the filler for George North. So there are guys that are slowly filling in those roles. Yes, they're still very early in their career, though. That's probably the big difference. As Faf playing for 80 minutes, he's already been taken off for Santiago Arata about probably 5 minutes ago. Elliot D goes off, and that's for Harry Thacker. He'll be playing in that number 16 jersey. I also do see that Hughes has come off. All right, are they going to be able to get this line out right now for the Welsh? Oh, it was a full stretch for the Welsh. Lockman managed to get a hand on it. Did they score again? Not yet. Currently 19 points to 10. Unless the scoreboard has somehow updated. Oh, no, there we go. Just gone through and scored the try off the bench for Ruben Morgan Williams. Do you think 80 minutes? What, do I think Faf's going to play 80 minutes? No, he's already been replaced. He got replaced 5 minutes ago. But Ruben Morgan Williams scores for the Welsh. It's between the posts as well, which will then extend their lead to 16 points. And as an attacking threat, Murray is exceptional. However, I doubt his aerial game has improved. Yeah, he doesn't quite have that leap that they need. And that's probably the one part of his game that doesn't put him in the same Liam Williams category. Barbarians must be playing a poor team. Must have bad players in the team. That one's going to be kicked over. This time from Sam Costello. 57 minutes through, and it is 26-10 now. And do you think the Pumas assistant coach is focused on the Scots? Why their assistant coach rather than their main coach? Is he somehow connected to them? But now the kickoff for the Barbars. They need 3 tries here. I would say anything less than 3 tries, they are not winning this game. Well, I'm starting a Mexican wave in the chat. Says Jacques. I joined in. It seems like it may have stopped at me, though. Did you see 80 points? Nah, nowhere near it. Not with only 22 minutes remaining. But now line out here for the Welsh. Scott Robertson not looking as happy about him. Mohadin, can you stop asking? Oh, that's harsh. Well, says, there. He's raised the coach. He is indeed. The Barbars assistant, says Kahu. And also, the XH couple as well. I don't know if anyone's ever attempted to do a Mexican wave in a chat. Well, nice ball from Williams. About 40 metres out from the line. Morgan Williams, most recent try scorer for Wales. They have scored 4 in this game, so pretty handy. Now, passing to the right-hand side. Lachlan Boshier close to the sideline there again. These Wales will win one game this year. Says Hardis. Did they not win one in the Six Nations earlier on in the year too? We got the wave there from Z8. It's working kind of, says Jacques. Now Rata. Way to Plummer. Wide cutout pass. Down the wing now. Some good pace still on offer from this Barbars team. That was Jeremy Ward this time. Wales trying to get in the breakdown. Oh no, someone's injured. I think that might be Ward. Barbarians will win. Fuff will have 3 tries for them. But he's already gone off the field, Fuff de Klerk. So Santiago Rata is currently the man who is out there. Nice flat ball. And now feeding through a gap. Alex Nankerval will score. And the Barbars get their much needed try. They still need a few more. We got Pioneers, says Jackson, also against Italy. And also we got there the wave and Mexican wave. Well, says Kahu, but Alex Nankerval, he's deserved a try. He's played a very good game out there for the Barbarians so far. It was Ascaro. Went with the pass. And then to Tanga. Got it across to Nankerval. And Hamish, how about a poll on Subaru? See if people is interested, maybe. Says Haino. I'm still undecided, I'll be honest. I think it's an idea, but I also definitely will forget to do anything on it. A nice one, Kahu. Says Jacques there, and also if Water's injured. They won't have any backs to replace him, eh? Yeah, no, they've got the 6-2 split with McConnell. I guess they probably, it's the Barbarians, so they'll probably just chuck a forward out there. They'll be all right. The score now is going to be sitting 26 points to 17. We have the under-20s game progress. Says Drifty. So currently, I think France versus Fiji is still waiting to start up. They are just showing the women's sides and the Barbarians and Wales teams getting ready to go into the tunnel and start prepping for their matchup. But 9 points separating them. I think you will do good, to be fair. I'll give you a strategy to use, says Ano, and let's get the Mexican wave going in the comments, says Kahu. Oh yeah, we're at the cooling break again, so it is 3 minutes. I'm sure McConnell was skillful enough to fill in as a centre, says Perd. I hope YouTube is paying you for all the ads, says Jacques. We are monetized, so yeah, but normally anything that the channel makes just goes straight back into the channel. So I guess it's paying for my streaming software through the ads and whatnot. So that's ideal. Yeah, just showing here Wales versus Georgia. That's happening in the under-20s currently. At least we know the under-20s aren't at the pub. What's the rule in Georgia for pubs, though? Because surely Georgia are pretty lenient in certain departments. What's the pub age in Georgia? We'll have a Google, eh? How old do you have to be to drink in Georgia at a pub? You have to be, 21, the legal. Oh, no, that's Georgia, USA. Where's Georgia, the country? In Georgia, country. At the pub. Oh, you only have to be 18 years old, so they're all good. They'll be, be in their worst case scenario. Wales, says Cecil. We are just waiting for this game to kick off again. Been a very stop-start game, but at this point in time, you can understand that because of the fact that they're trying to play it in a heat wave. How good is Faf playing today? Rating out of 10. Well, he's off the field now. He probably had about a 5. He didn't do anything crazy. He didn't do anything too bad. Maybe that's a bit harsh, but his team was also losing. So, yeah, I'd say a 5. Somewhere around there. At least there's some compensation. Says Jacques there. It's going to be kicked off now by Wales. Bit of an awkward droppy kick. Going to be claimed by Jordan Joseph. Time remaining. Currently another 19 minutes left in this matchup. Being rolled back again inside of the 22. Santiago Arata for the halves. Yeah, 19 minutes still left on the clock. Currently 9 points separating them. Nice take there from Tom Rogers. Trying to turn it into a rolling maul, and it almost does so, but it comes out on the back of the Barbarian side. Now Arata again just looking to go for the in-behind kick. I don't know whether or not territory is the game that the Barbarians want to be playing here, where they want to just get that attack going once more. They are down by 9. They can't afford to use up too much of the time remaining on the clock. And under 20 progress, says Drifty. 1 second, I'll do a Google. Luckily, we've got another stoppage in this one. Wales are winning up against Georgia 15-5. The other game hasn't actually started yet. They're still waiting. Only a 5 out of 10 for Fuff. Why do you Kiwis hate the box so much, Amos, says Xander? Well, you should ask me what I give Vincent Koch out of 10 for his performance. And it would have been a lot higher. But Fuff didn't do great, you know. Unfortunately, did he do well in the game up against the Barbars? I thought he had some good moments off the bench for the South Africans, but yeah, in terms of this game, he's been a bit lackluster. Now we have their Wales scored, says Rifty. We're now on the halfway line here for the Welsh. Away to the left-hand side. All drawn pass was on there for Blair Murray, but he carves through anyway. He runs it and gives it on the inside to Alice Mee. Does score the try. Update, says Drifty. Okay, so I give you an update on the under-20s. You give me a spoiler on this one. I see how this is working. We have there Wahoo, says Kahu there too. But they're going to check this here. See whether or not it was a legal try. It's just going to be that pass. Oh, okay. They've just said that Mason Grady made a couple of tackles off the ball. And we have you there. Come on, people, Mexican wave. As I don't spoil the score here, says Xander. Right, they're going to do a formal check of this rather than an informal one. It is quite a significant moment in this game too, depending on whether it is going to be called as a try or not. Oh, Latham's off the mark too. Sock, you will be happy. He got himself an edge through slip for 4. I think the players will actually like this period of time here. Okay, so yeah, Mason Grady was in front. And now you Xander, says Mohadin. So this one's going to be ruled out for the Welsh. That's probably not an ideal time either to have it. You been enjoying the Footy World Cup? I've actually only watched about probably, I'd say, a couple hours of it. No score given. Once again, try and avoid the spoilers if you can, Drifty. And we have got there, it's cold and cloudy here, so I'm not happy. Fair enough. Mason Grady just getting himself in the offside position. Causes a bit of obstruction there. They don't look too happy about it on the Welsh bench. I think that's because they know that 9 points currently just probably isn't enough. Is Georgia team playing any rugby this year? Yes. They have got their games taking place in the Challenger Series type of situation, which is the next 12 sides in the Rugby World Cup outside of that top grouping. Line out now for Harry Thacker. Only 3 tries to the 4. So well and truly close enough. Wales and Georgia getting quite angry. Says Kahu. Fixed scorecard. It is fixed. It's 26-7. Oh, sorry, it's 26-17. Rolling maul now. Same like me, it's very cold, it's storming. Tomorrow says Mohadeen. Now rolling maul 10 metres out from the line for the Barbarians. Rata, this one, he was looking at playing it, but I think they're going to keep on rolling just that little bit more. Was that tracked down illegally by Wales? It seems like it was going to be all right. And a drop ball from the Barbarians as they were only 1 metre out from the opposition line. Now a kick in behind from Wales. Going to get as much distance as they can. That is a phenomenal kick. It's almost from a goal line to a 22 there, the kick. Max Spring. Tom Spring, I should say. Uh-oh. Is Sock still here out of curiosity? Because his boy's just gone out. The Barbarians, they have managed to regather the ball, and a penalty goes against the Welsh. And we have got there trying to pull a 6-7 meme, I get it. Thoughts on All Blacks tour to South Africa. Do you think All Blacks might take a game in South Africa on tour? I think so. And 3 miles crawling through a tunnel. First mile said, I smell sugar. Says Bruce. This one's going to be kicked into touch again. Some good distance on it for the Barbarians. They have 15 minutes to make up 10 points. If they do that, they win this. Well, no, they probably don't win this game. I think that Wales probably still have enough in them, definitely because they got close to scoring before until it was disallowed. This makes me feel a little nostalgic. It's weekends on the farm with a few buddies, listening to the footy on the radio at 3 in the morning because there are no TVs. Everyone asking, too early for a castle? What would it be? It'd be 4:42, right? So you might not be a mile away, depending on what you've, of course, got on for the rest of the day. They showed the TMO in the Wales vs Georgia game, but instead of showing the game, they showed the Ireland-England game. Says Kahu. Barbarians, they've managed to get that one to ground. They are 40 metres out from their own line here. Rata. Off to Virimi Vakatawa. He's gone a little bit quiet in this game. I don't think he's been as influential playing out on the wing as he was in the centres in the game up against South Africa. Escaro. Rata again goes across to Plummer. Almost managed to get that offload away. And that seems to be something that the Barbarians have really tried to focus on, is finding a way of getting those offloads around the place. Rata again. Doesn't seem like it's moving too far in the forward direction. Still 40 metres out. Cross to Nankerville. If anyone's going to be able to get a couple extra metres, it would be that man. Do you think the rolling clock is an issue because officials chew up the clock with checks and it affects the game in a negative way? It depends on the game. Sometimes you're happy that an extra minute's been used up, depending on who's playing. But yeah, I think normally they should just stop it straight away. What a run from Wainwright. Finds the offload on the outside. A little bit of an early tackle made by Rata. The Welsh now firmly on attack, but going for the kick in behind from Morgan Williams. Means that the Barbarians get the ball and they kick it into touch. All right, Ribs, we're going to Bry indoors on an electric Bry. I don't even think you can call it a Bry. The answer to the question is always no. I said yes to a beer at 3 a.m. once. Notice the last word once. Don't start at 3 a.m. It won't end well. I promise you, says Jacques. Now another line break here, and it's a big run forward and a nice offload there too. There was the replacement loose head. There was old Reece Barrett who was flying down the middle of the field. Now Wales 10 metres out from the line. Another big bump off. Morgan Williams. A few men on the short side, and this time Alice Mee carves through. And he will receive the try this time. And we have got there, Georgia scored 12-15, nearly half-time is the score of that other one. You need to ban South Africans from your channel due to their egos and inflated importance. Well, if we ban South Africans from the channel pretty much goes under. So, yeah, that's probably not the smartest decision I could make. Go Wales. There's Rifty, and I know Georgia says Kahu. They managed to move forward quite nicely. And then on the short side, Alice Mee receives that ball, goes through the gap in the Barbarians. A bit of a fist bump as well from Barrett. I can't believe how quick that man ran up the middle of the field. I know he's fresh because of only recently making his way on, but still, pace that we're seeing quite a bit from the props. Reece Curry, perfect example of that from the Six Nations. That try should almost secure this game, I would think, for the Welsh. It does now sit 33 points to 17. He actually almost dropped that ball from the other angle that they've just shown. Managed to hang on to it. Now 16 points. 10 minutes remaining. It's becoming a bit too much of a gap. This one's only going to go the 10 metres. In fact, it hardly even made it 10, but it has touched a Welshman. Now means that the Barbarians were allowed to play at it. The ball's still on the Barbar side. Arata, a little bit of a counter ruck there from Wales. Now Thacker. They can go. Again, from Joseph. South Africans don't have big inflated egos. If anything, they are too humble. Says Andon. Go the Barbarians. Says Drifty. And also huge upset. Barbar should win this. Says Kahu. Now another pick and go from Tanga this time. Arata goes across to Joseph. Good hands. Now Lukan Salakai Lotto goes away now. Nicely done by the Barbarians. We knew that try was coming as well. We worked out when Drifty says go for a side, it means they're scoring, sadly. We have got there Jason. He must be a Wallaby. He is not a Wallaby supporter. I believe he supports New Zealand, kind of. But it is going to be the try for the Barbarians. Cheers for that, Drifty, again. But George North, the man who does get himself the double. Anything can happen, especially in the Barbars game, allowing me to quote the Highlanders' massive comeback against the Cheetahs from 41-24 to 45-41. Says Purd. George North's going to think that playing for the Barbarians is easy because he's come onto the field and scored twice. He hasn't had too many touches outside of scoring tries. George North. You get people that see a winning attitude as inflated egos. Says Gilly. A big hug there from George North. And also Jordan Joseph. Again, we're back down to the 9 points. Separating these two sides. What was my original prediction? I went 40 points to 45. Some of these other New Zealand supporters, we have a few shockers ourselves. A massive impact from North, as base says Bird, and it's awful. Or sorry, it's coached by Scott Robertson. He's an awful second half record. Says nothing. He's a motivational coach. This one's going to be kicked downfield off the Welsh kickoff. And then Barbarians just looking to tap it back into touch for the line out. What's your upset of next week's international games? Mine is Scotland beating the Pumas. So I could have guessed yours, Kahu. But Don't know, I'd have to see who's favourites first, I think. Line out again for Ryan Elias, going to the back. Playing by Wales. They are ahead by the 9. Just taking their time in the breakdown too. No rush whatsoever. They know that these are the crucial moments where the Barbarians feel like they've got a little bit of momentum in their favour. A great start. It's got an awful second half in his signature. He gets out coached by everyone at international level. Now, North thought about going for the kick in behind, but it is charged down by the Welsh. Now, Alice Mee moves it across to the right-hand side. That was almost a knock-on too there. Looks a little bit harder to hang on to the ball as this match has progressed. I think that's just due to the sweat on it. I kicked him behind. Harry Plummer, did he get a hand on it? If he did, he's saying he didn't. Although it's going to pull up in the in-goal area anyway. Are you pleased with Mr. Rennie's selections thus far? I think so. Like, at the end of the day, before even seeing a side play a game of rugby, complaining about the players selected would just be a little bit weird. Like, and don't get me wrong, there are guys that people wanted to see in there, but they'll probably get their chance later on in the season. Nice ball on the outside, Lukan Salakaia-Loto going now to Veremi Vakatawa. Looks like Blair Murray will cover the ground. He just kicks that one into touch. Wanted nothing to do with Vakatawa there. The Wallabies are favourites for the Island game, but if the Wallabies win, it's still an upset, says Kahu. Scotland might actually do that. Won't be easy, says Jacques. Remy Vakatawa, yeah, that's smart from Murray to just get that ball out, slow it down, get the defensive line back. This game is still well and truly for the taking. 74 minutes gone on the clock currently. Now the Barbarians. Harry Plummet goes to Nankerville, misses the pass, but very nicely tapped forward by Ward. Looks like he's hurt his knee in the process, but Wales will just look to fire it straight back down. Seems like they're happy enough just going for that tap. And, big fend from Spring. Bit of a counter ruck. Arata got there quickly, though. Lachlan Boshier seems like he's going to be playing the full 80. Now back across to Lukan Salakaia-Loto. Let's go, says Inquisitor. A bit slow getting up on this near side of the field is George North. Now looking for the cross kick from the Barbarians. Sam Costello. Ball on the halfway line. Passes across to Murray. He steps through a couple. Rudder tries to slow him down, but Murray's still moving. Goes for the chipper behind. He needs to bounce to the ball. It doesn't quite sit up for him, though. They're going to go back. It's an offside penalty against the Barbarians, who are only 5 metres out from their own try line. Probably relatively cynical, you could say. A couple metres out, but they give away the penalty straight away, Wales. Barbarians take it back, and they might consider going for that quick tap option. You said the missed kicks could be the difference. You're right, says Kahu. To bring up the global season argument, should New Zealand rugby bite the bullet, being the one union fighting against it now that South African teams are playing in Europe and Aussie essentially bullied by New Zealand? Says Pert. Another penalty of the Barbarians. Sorry, that's quite a long question that probably will take a relatively long answer, but it depends, because I feel like currently the calendar works all right, depending on who you talk to. I know that people all want to see teams playing at the same time, but I think seasonally it just doesn't work. But then saying that, they're playing rugby in all times of the year and all temperatures anyway. That one's going to be knocked back by Blair Murray. It was close to a knock-on, but Wales now with the ball again. On the way to the right-hand side. Big shot on Mason Grady by Alex Nankerville. And time says, Roger, at the moment the time is 77 minutes gone, so 3 minutes remaining. The Barbarians, another knock-on from Wales. They're really trying to give the Barbars a chance to come back into this game. It looks like a change is about to be made. That's Dan Edwards making his way back on. I assume that is for an HIA-related issue. 14 Wales, that'll be Tom Rogers. Does make his way off. Who's Barbarians Zimbabwe playing this year? Zimbabwe actually play quite a few sides. They have got their Challenger Series coming up. So next week they're playing Tonga, which we may even get to cover on the channel. We're very sporting like that. So here's Inquisitor. And also, we have got the finally the France game is on. Hasn't started yet, but it's finally on. Yeah, Tom Rogers, hopefully he is going to be all right. Of course, he is one of the players that they would love to have next week up against the Fijians. Going to be some big, powerful runners. You need that speed on the outside too. We have got there finally. Oh no, I read that one about the France game. About 3 minutes now. This is a good position. 42 metres out from their own line, the Barbarians. And no crowd though, says Kahu. Has to be said, box in a class of their own comparing scores, or is it Wales, or is Wales that weak of a side? I do think that the Barbarians have done a bit better this week in terms of cohesion. Oh, nice offload. Now running down the wing with Joseph. Every time you say Māori All Blacks, it sounds like you're saying Māori. I hope they are, says Robert. It is another knock on, this time from the Barbarians. It's a mistake from Liam McConnell. That might just about take the clock into about 1 minute remaining by the time the scrum takes place. I don't think Wales will be in any hurry to set this one. Our season is technically the best option current or compared to the European season. However, every other major union is playing the European season, so budges ace, says Bird. Tom Latham made 4 runs, then back to the sheds. Yeah, I did say that at the time. I asked whether or not you were here. He started off with 4 runs off the edge as well, I will mention. So I didn't really get much of the middle of the bat, unfortunately. Definitely didn't use his bat when he got LBW'd. And also, Lowell says, oh, that ball's come out the back for Wales now again, looking to shift it to the left-hand side. Bit of open space too. The Barbarians, they have left gaps out wide. Now the chip in behind from Alice Mee. Foot race with George North. It looks like Mee was winning it for now. Awkward bouncing ball for Virimi Vakatawa. Gets back up and thought about offloading it. Got a few Welshmen around him currently. We have got the left to watch it now. I regret it, says Sock. Oh, I think Conway almost just got hit in the helmet. About a minute remaining. Now passing away to the left-hand side again. Oh, that was a weird offload. That almost... Oh, yeah, they're still playing. That was a really weird moment. Everyone just stopped playing for a second. Now the sun's come out by the looks of it too, just to make it that little bit warmer. And they'll go back for the original advantage for the knock-on with 45 seconds left. I think this one's almost done and dusted. They can get within 7, but I don't think they'll get the win from here. They'd have to go pretty much the full length of the field. Wales only beat Italy in the Six Nations. What international matches are you doing next weekend, says Hardis? I'm hoping to do, off the top of my head, I'll probably miss a couple, but France versus New Zealand, Australia versus Ireland, South Africa versus England, maybe Fiji versus Wales, hopefully Argentina, Scotland, maybe Tonga versus Zimbabwe. I think that's most of them, roughly, with what we're going to be doing. It sounds like the win is locked in for Wales, says Bird. Yeah, that's now just the siren sounding. I don't think the Barbarians will kick this ball into touch, though, but they may knock it on. They've had quite a few of those throughout this matchup. Now going away to the right, Harry Plummer. Loose ball, cleaned up by Virimi Vakatawa. And now, it's just thrown straight into the hands of Alice Mee. And he will score the try for Wales. So that's a bit of a bonus there for the Welsh right at the end of this game. I think they're still going to be TMOing it. The Welsh have pulled an unlikely win here. Oh, okay, never mind. So there's going to be the penalty to the Barbarians. I'm happy with the lads today, says Inquisitor. So yeah, no try for Alice Mee. Clear push in the back on Virumi Vakatawa as he was trying to get down to grab that ball. Is Plummer have a trade? And now, line out here. Barbarians, still another chance. Big win for Wales, says Kahu. Harry Thacker. I think they'll still back themselves to get one more here, the Barbars, as long as they don't drop it. And Miss Kiwi, I kind of fell asleep. How has the game been so far? It's been a weird one. I think because of the stoppages and the 3-minute drinks breaks and whatnot and the eternity of a half time, it kind of feels like the game never really got going, if that makes sense. Like, it's been relatively high scoring. 33-24 is a decent old game, but I don't know. It just hasn't felt as intense as normal or something. I don't know. Now Nankerveld, still trying to create another chance here. Now looking for the chip in behind. It was partially charged down by Wales. Now another flick pass attempted. Looks like Wales may just look to clear this one. Costello tackled high. Or do they go for one last attack? It seems like the pocket. No, in fact, they're going to go attacking again here, the Welsh. It's nice to see the teaming coming together. Had some back and forth matches recently, so getting a solid W is nice. Seems like Wales want one more in front of the Twickenham crowd. Now backline movement, and it's nicely done. Oh no, thrown straight into the hands, though, of the Barbars. Got back to his feet there, Harry Thacker, so was able to play on up to the halfway line. And to the left, Lukan Salakai Lotto. George North. He's already got himself two. Oh, that's a low chop and tackle on him. Bit of a dirty shot from one of the Welshmen. Now Nankerveld. No, this time, in fact, it's going to be spring ball on the inside. This is a chance for the Barbarians. They just need to link up. There was a full pass, I believe. But Arata should score it between the posts, just if it is going to be a legal one. Maybe the intense stuff, says Inquisitor. So, yeah, they got close. And in the end, the conversions will be the difference between these two sides. They should be able to tap it over nice and easy. More than likely, we'll see. I think they'll give it to George North. Straight out in front of the post. You might as well. But it was actually the pace from Jeremy Ward off the mark as he went back in. You would think if Wales played a top club like Toulouse or Leinster or Hurricanes, they might lose to a similar score like this. And I also says Skulk there. Welcome in. Is this your last game today? It certainly is. There is still a game between the Box and Uruguay for the under-20s that has taken place later on today, but we won't actually be covering that one due to an early start tomorrow. But yeah, George North has got the kicking tee here, ladies and gents. The crowd getting behind him. His teammates as well, and he taps it down the middle. George North close out this game 33 points to 31. What ended up being a very close game at the full-time whistle. But nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in. We've got plenty of internationals coming up next weekend. We've got previews. We've got lineup predictions. We've got the lineups in general and all sorts coming all throughout the week. So if you are new, be sure to leave a like and be sure to subscribe. And I will see you all for the next one.